Good afternoon, everybody. The weather has done all sorts in Amsterdam, and we are ever so slightly delayed, but we are about to get underway with the final, the big one, mixed division action for you. The all-star Tokay SuperTeam taking on the French mixed national side, the reigning European champions. What a contest this promises to be. Benjamin Rees with you, delighted to be at the helm of a three-person booth with Francis Italy and Rahel Toshnerova to my left-hand side. There's a look at the open bracket for you. We'll just have to work on getting the mixed division one up for you shortly. The players at the moment are being introduced out onto the field. I'm going to ask both of you, who do you think is the favourite for this game?
Well, my personal choice would be France. I think that they have a lot of experience in team chemistry, but Rachel can tell us a little bit about this Tokay SuperTeam. I think she's probably leaning on them.
Well, I have to say, I think if anyone's going to push SuperTeam, it is Team France. They have had amazing performance throughout this entire tournament, and I have had a chance to watch the previous matchup between these two, actually, and I think both teams can be pushed much, much further, but I think both at 100%, SuperTeam is going to have the upper hand.
Of course, that game ended up 7-6 in the favor of SuperTeam with the weather-delayed rounds, only 45 minutes. Here we have double that amount of time, so we will see which team is able to exert the most amount of pressure in the extended game circumstances.
Relatively serene path through the bracket you saw there, the SuperTeam.
Joe White for SuperTeam. He is the assist machine. He's been very, very helpful for SuperTeam in the handler space. Here is his point to Valchuk. One more assist as he taps the disc in and goes around. Another favorite target, Toby de Gran.
Yeah, Joe White will be a huge part of any success for SuperTeam. For France, you can have your pick of Borno sisters, but we're going to have a look at Ava, who is the younger of the two, Francis?
The younger of the two. This is Eva Borno. She and her sister Lison, both playing on this team. She is a defensive machine. She is an athlete, and she is always playing with a smile. You'll notice that she's different from Lison. She always wears the braids. Both of them wearing the mismatching white and black cleats, or matching, I should say, since they exchanged. But she has a lot of energy. She's one of the big athletic sides that led France to this championship in a finals blowout against Italy last year at EUC.
I mean, that French performance all week, but in that final especially, was absolutely dominant. As you see there, the kingpin, the mastermind behind the Tokay SuperTeam, Stefan Rapazzo, and coach Ine Lankriet in the background as well. Steph, I think, is a man of naked ambition, wanted to stack a team to win a tournament back like he used to do with Halibut in Australia. The architect of SuperTeam, and brought on a very handy extra pair of hands to help lead them from the sidelines in coach Ine Lankriet.
Yeah, Stefan Rapazzo, definitely the super villain in a cast of super villains. This man is hoping to win this tournament to prove his point that he can bring this team to the top of this European tournament.
So France in the white, putting to the Tokay SuperTeam in the turquoise, and the mixed final is underway as Cupcake watches the disc all the way in, as he usually does off the pool. And Mikkel now swinging to his compatriot White. And Joe White uncorking a howitzer. Walchuk and Yekland in the area. Some defenders in it as well, and Lison Borno rises highest to smack that away.
If anyone was going to get a hand on that for Valchuk, there was so much trust from White for both of his female matching players, Valchuk and Eklund. They were both running it down expertly, but if anyone was going to get a hand on that from the defensive side, it was definitely Borno.
And if we see any of the Bornos, we see the other one this time. We see Lison getting the defense. Of course, those two are absolutely key on this D-line. They play very well together. They have obviously excellent chemistry, living their entire lives and ultimate lives together.
Schmidt with an error, looked at his hands like they had betrayed him. Not quite sure how it came out like that, but it's going to be knocked back to Cupcake. Tulik catches the second effort. White just lays down a little bit so he can stay out of the way. Tulit trying to get an isolation at the front, floats that one a little bit. Mikkel tries to hop it in, but that's the wrong line, my friend. Squeezes the narrow seam through to Tulit. And you can see Schmidt just getting a little hug there from Mathieu Beguen-Demo. Happens, shrug it off, but in the meantime, SuperTeam take the 1-0 lead.
France is obviously not going to enjoy that. Schmidt himself, a very young addition to this team last year. He spent probably about 25% of his time on the field horizontal. He was an absolute layout deep machine, probably showing some of his inexperience, although he is an incredibly mature player for his age.
I was so impressed with him during France's run to the final at the JJUC under-20s in Wrocław a couple of years ago.
You can see the look was good right there. Ruel was open. Ruel tries to back that up with a layout D of his own.
So a little bit of a boys' point here. Cupcake fakes that big one, but eventually finds Mikkel at the front of the end zone. It's a high disc, but no defender near inside. Mikkel tried to jump that in, and it is none other than Tom Tulit with the first score for SuperTeam.
Yeah, those two will have that previous chemistry, of course, because the season that Jimmy Mikkel and Chris Kocher brought some thunder down under, playing with what is now Sunder, was at the time Colony. Made the final of the World Ultimate Club Championships in Cincinnati, and indoors in the final in the end. And there was a time with the lightning delays that you wondered, surely not the same fate again. Swing all the way across the field, going to retire, chase down, but Olivier tracks and catches. Down the line, Voinesson to get it in the centre. Now moving with a little bit of pace, Boyon. And a stoppage. Pick away from the disc.
So far we've seen match coverage from Tokay SuperTeam. They did implement a zone defense in the earlier matchup, but that was played out on a much smaller field, also due to some changes in the tournament structure. So I don't think we're going to see much of that in this game unless it's for the change of pace.
Certainly you feel like without the time on the grass or the synthetic turf as we have here in the National Rugby Stadium, this cork-based Astro, that it might be tricky to fully get those kinks ironed out.
Going back to what Rachel was saying earlier, Gaël Oncerin excited to play on a full field because, as Benji noted, they were on a reduced time slot but also a very small field. And we see some movement created from the French handlers right here. We've got Sacha Sokolski, part of that World Games team.
And he finds the standout Gaël Oncerin. Such an important leader and presence for France, and a clean hold makes it one apiece.
Both of those players part of that World Games team that finished 6th 2 years ago in Birmingham. We have Poit Sokolski, Oncerin, and the Borno sisters all on World Games for France. And on the opposite side, another villain himself, we have Rico Becker in the big red hat. You see him chasing his former teammate from Czech, Poit Sokolski. Probably some great battles between those two at practices and between their rivalry on Izno and Czech.
I can tell you firsthand how heated some of those games can be. I remember the French national final a couple of years ago. Was, as it always seems to be, Czech versus Is No Good. And what the season when Joe Wyatt and Tim Schock came over to play for Is No Good under coach Stefan Varapazzo, which again you see that those links and those seams threading things together. And for the last few points, both teams seems to forget that there was a whole end zone you could aim at, and seemed more important to just bully your opponent in scoring on them at the front cone. Very strange. Towering pool deep. Valeria Cardenas watches it bounce, and it's just about going to hit that back line, inches away from being perfection. Sitting right underneath. Molnar charges instead. Torbjørn de Krane, arguably the best deep threat in Europe, but doing his work underneath now. Spreading across for Mikkel. Now Volchak, there's a pick that is going to go back.
Volchak trying to complete the double victory, the double gold medal. She won on Universe Point in that absolute banger of a game with Jinx.
What a game. Yeah, the open final didn't quite deliver the same thrills and excitement, but shaping up to be a cracker in this final contest. Mikkel now banging it deep. De Kruijner brings down expertly. The crowd gasps in admiration. Volchak. Molnar to space. He's got time. He chases it down and looking to win back-to-back mixed titles. Philip Molnar makes it 2-1 to SuperTeam. Molnar maybe not one of the more heralded players on this roster, but a young player with such potential and such a bright future in this game.
As an Eastern European myself, I am so happy to see Slovak and Czech representation on the SuperTeam, be it Molnar scoring the last point. We see the assist here from De Kruijner, as well as, of course, Kristina Tlusta, the young powerhouse out of the club scene, East Block. Here is Volchak, whose jam it has become to collect double titles at single tournaments. And Molnar with a celebration. Clean hold for SuperTeam.
Good recovery on the defense, though. Folger and Fenrich able to communicate and gum up the works off of that deep catch. It prevented an easy score from SuperTeam. They did have to take those extra few passes.
Anushka Beaudry ready to pull. Bit of inside-out shape on the backhand, fielded on the hop. The icon Nasa Vogel finally able to capture European gold on the Emerald Isle last year. Maybe the one accolade missing from his cabinet to that point. Breaking all the way across, Clara Matias. Finds Coralie Fouquet on that far sideline. Boyan being covered by Tam, able to shuttle his way free, a pick away from the disc.
France are looking conservative on offense. Onslaught told me before the game that they are going to try and find deep shots, but they're really going to hope that those deep shots come from close to the disc.
Boyan. Fouquet struggling to shuttle free. Vogel eventually uncovers himself. And that one, the look, the filthy stare. The Nasser Vogel shot his hands, but there's a collision away from the disc. It won't affect the turnover, but it's a French player in a heap on the floor.
Chloé Olivier on the floor. Her teammate from Isno, Eric Becker, having a look at her. Looks like it might be a shoulder problem. Rico, both a PT and studying to be a doctor. Chloé Olivier, that's a big loss if she can't continue to play. So we see great defense from SuperTeam.
Agreed. Again, that match defense, especially Westman shutting down, I think it was Olivier, before the turnover. Let's see if they can punch this one in, get an early break in the game.
Beaudry will pick up, isolating Zhu short. They will look to run a lot of handler and dominator-led sets as the throw down the line. Zhu in space. The first break of the game goes the way of the Tokay SuperTeam, and they've got a 3-1 lead.
I'm not sure what Lachi was trying to force out of SuperTeam. It looked like she was face guarding, or she didn't have eyes on the disc in any case and tried to force Zhu out. But of course, SuperTeam, they're able to put these discs into very small windows.
I mean, Zhu really brings the energy to SuperTeam. I see her all the time at 110%, be it on defense or offense. Look at that upline cut, the speed of that. For SuperTeam, you have all these top athletes, but still once in a while you see the one or the other sort of like hang a little bit, maybe not go 100% match. But Zhu, that's not the case. She's just always super tight at their person, and that's just the kind of stuff that we want to see out of these athletes.
So there are 4 captains for the SuperTeam. You're seeing one of them there, the kind of the coach and Ine Lankriet and GM Stefan Rapazzo. They picked Tom Tulit and Levka Volchak, and they let the players vote on a couple of captains as well, and they chose Jimmy Mikkel and the aforementioned Angela Zhu. As you have a look at Ine Lankriet, who has done such a good job, you know, both with the club side bringing various players up through the gentle system, which the depth of talent there is ludicrous, and of course got the Belgium under-24 open side all the way to the finals last year in Nottingham as well. Jevig to Umbe Vogel. Trying to isolate Jevig. Just floats that one up for him. And as you suggested they might, it's just slow, patient offense from the French, but Anselan loves that little bit of an injection on the throw and go. Jevig to Umbe Vogel.
It's good to see that Olivier is back out there. It seemed that was just a very brief injury break for her. She is, again, an incredibly impressive cutter. She started her days in Le Mans with Monchot, a team that took Disconnection down into the semi-final and made it to the semi-finals sort of unexpectedly, but currently playing her ultimate with Yaka out of Noisy-le-Sec, close to the Paris.
Disc waiting to be tapped back in. Jevig goes to Olivier. Spreading wide with the backhand, Umbe Vogel. Showing an overhead, but shelving it. And now the leading pass to Olivier, looking at things develop in front of her. Clara Matias. And now Swan Lucas Lefebvre. Strong Yaka presence on this line. That pass is a little bit low from Anselan, and it didn't have the juice it needed. Rina Kawabata picks up. Rogers in the backfield with her, and now Becker to Tognetti. Tognetti opening it up. He spied Kawabata. This disc is going to hang a little bit. Can Kawabata track it towards the end zone? It doesn't matter. Where did Anushka Bodri come from? It's 4-1.
I swear she must have said something to Kawabata, because otherwise I can't believe that she would have let that go just like that. There must have been great communication between the two. And Bodri, just out of nowhere, snaps that out of the air. Costly mistake by France, and a second break in a row for SuperTeam. Here is that low disc that resulted in a turnover and allowed Tognetti to swing it the other way. So much hang on that disc, and here is the close-up of the rundown. Number 13 is flying out of the back of the end zone.
Just a careless turnover from Anselan. Funny stat and a funny flashback to 2019. He was on that French mixed side that was in the finals and lost to GB on Universe. He did not complete a pass until the second half of that game, and he touched the disc multiple times.
And there's that iconic shot at the very end of the game on Universe Point when Karen Kwok ends up being marked by Anselan, and they realise, hang on a minute, something's gone a bit wrong here, because there was a confusion in the gender ratio on the Universe Point of Euros.
Julien Gabriel with surprised open arms and Karen Kwok's bemused expression, saying, what is going on right here?
Tognetti booming the backhand on the pull. If this gets the edge it wants, it could be perfection. And it is going to come all the way back in bounds. The hang time on that forces France to start from right in their own end zone. Here the sideline all under. I think they're almost tempting France. Put some of those deep shots up, because at the moment your offense is very compressed. Anselan to Boyan. Marked by the shocked blonde hair of Jakob Tam, the Estonian. Płatzakolski, the reigning mixed player of the year in Europe and Ultiworld's end of season European awards, having captured that gold at EUC, and of course gold on the beach as well at the World Beach Ultimate Championships out on the west coast of the States back in October. Anselan stretching wide. Jevig gets the call from Płatzakolski and bails out. Now Lucas Lefebvre. Bouncing it back off Fouquet. Zhu tries to poach in there. And the quick throw and go from Płatzakolski. Did not have the balance right, got the edge wrong, and there was nothing Lucas Lefebvre could do.
Currently, France leaning on their stars, but their stars are not delivering. Both Poids-Sokolski and Ancelin making mistakes.
And Swan Lacoste-Lefebvre has really burst onto the scene over the past couple of years, but nothing she could do. Ambitious swing all the way over the top from Tognetti, and he had his hands out because he was a little bit bemused that Landa de Kleiner couldn't quite track that one.
Yeah, and to go to Lacoste-Lefebvre, she is the player that Ancelin wanted to highlight at the beginning of this game. She's 19 years old. This is her first time playing for a senior national team, and he wanted to say that she is incredibly mature and she's able to make great decisions with the disc despite her young age.
Yeah, there's a reason she's already a key cog in this O-line. Fakes the backhand to Fouquet coming through and takes Poids-Sokolski instead. De Kleiner trying to force him tight onto this sideline. Ancelin gets free in the phone booth in front of Tognetti and now breaks central. So good at orchestrating and playing with exactly the tempo he wants is Ancelin, that rubato style. They'll pick it up and slow it down at whim. But struggling to get free of the stalwart Tognetti. Lacoste-Lefebvre to Matthias, plucks with one hand. Red zone possession here. France, you feel, have to convert. Matthias back to Ancelin. Threads the inside through. Now Becker on the mark, up against Javig. Poids-Sokolski. Looking, scanning, he wants something, anything from Ancelin. Tognetti contests but doesn't get there, and the little flip from Ancelin to Poids-Sokolski puts France back on the board for 4-2.
I just want to quickly talk about this Ancelin-Tognetti matchup. I was going to point it out in the previous point where it almost seemed like Ancelin was trying to hide in the back of the stack, not being engaged in the handler space until he got the disc and then through the turnover. But in this point, he was much more active, and I think it's a role that really suits him. He just wants to get a ton of passes. He just wants to get the disc going, and he seemed much more comfortable. And even though it wasn't a clean hold for France, Ancelin was obviously a key player in this point. He just decided, you know, I don't have to outrun this youngster. I can just be smart and attack the right space, and it resulted in his assist.
Those two have a lot of chemistry together, of course, not just on World Games, both playing together with Chuck for a couple of years, and now together with Cesquidistus out of Strasbourg.
And Cesquidistus got to the final of the Elite Invite in Leuven about a month ago now, and had Sasha Poids-Sokolski been available, the universe point might have gone the other way, but alas, he was ill that weekend, and Cesquidistus still came mighty close to making it all the way, which I think speaks a lot to how good a side Cesquidistus are. Tulit feels on the hop, and the first pass is to Cardenas. Now Valchuk shows the inside to White, but instead trying to find a little bit of order out of the chaos in the handling space. White has Yeklin taking off, but doesn't want that. Instead, Heria can't wrap her hand around the trailing edge. Great break chance for France. Justine Bru doesn't want to hang around. Trying to throw it to space with the stool rising, but there was no one there.
Bru just unable to find anybody. Playing great defense on Valeria Cardenas for that point, but offensively not able to put it together.
White with De Kleiner, the younger of the two, that is, Toby De Kleiner, charging away. Now Mikkel. Lasering a forehand deep in stride for Toby De Kleiner. Mikkel still one of the premier throwers in the game, and SuperTeam, having surrendered the disc in a perilous position, able to get it back and able to punch it in.
Honestly, not much there you can do there, given the huge break side opener from Tulit, and then a continuation through the break side, really. And a huck like that from Mikkel, also practically undefendable.
Former next-gen player, really able to thread the needle, especially on those small spaces in the deep space. Here we see good defense from Blue to force that wide swing. But of course she picks it up and nobody is home on the French end zone offense.
And then you give players the quality of Mikkel, those opportunities. And I think that's really how he made his name. Just a full arsenal of throws. Mikkel could hit anywhere on the field from anywhere else on the field, right the way, all the way back in college in his Mumma Bird days, and then coming through with Bravo and latterly Pony. Yeah, there was I think GM Rapazzo called it the snub heard around the world. And Mikkel's come here maybe with a little bit of a point to prove. Not that you need to give a player of that quality any extra fuel for the fire.
The weather so far very ultimate friendly, I should say, despite the thunder we've had at the beginning of the original beginning of the game. We're back to no rain.
It feels a little bit like Limerick last year in that sense, where you never know quite how it's going to change on an hourly basis. Fouquet. Vogel, able to get up line, tried to milk it a little bit, and then saw Becker closing and snatches. Now break side. Flow stymied. Back to Fouquet, trying to lead Umbe Vogel into the end zone. And sometimes NAS is inevitable.
I think finally France is managing to get around the under defense of SuperTeam, which has worked in the previous points and resulted in 2 breaks for them. But this was exactly how you play against it, really.
I agree. I think that the stack got a little bit closer, which opened up the deep space, and as you said, Rachel, it opens up those unders. Fouquet, speaking of snubs heard around the world, she was also on that World Games team, a snub that I left off, but she is no slouch. She's definitely an offensive powerhouse behind the disc. Currently playing with 33 Tours out of Bordeaux.
I also remember Fouquet back in 2020 at Diskin Camp, I believe 2021 even. And I can't say that she was one of the best players there. She definitely wasn't. I mean, she is still so young, but to make it into a World Games player in 2 years, I mean, wow, that is some incredible progress.
There was a real mix of youth and experience on that French World Games side, but some of the, the young female matching players, especially the Borno sisters, your Fouquets, they were a real revelation. Valeria Cardenas catches the ball and centers to Tulit. Looking for the break wide. Spectacular. The layout from Forget. Schmidt picks up, bearing the responsibility. Forget was begging for that one, but does get it somewhat belatedly. Schmidt once more. Breaks immaculately to Forget, and France break as well. Just down the one now, 4-5.
And Enzo Forget said, "Did you forget about me?" His defense on that point was impressive, and not only that, his offensive performance was perfect as well.
I mean, it is incredible the way these young players, sometimes you just think about, oh, they lack the experience a little bit. They do have the mental toughness, the readiness to play against world stars, but then sometimes they are the ones to make the mistake, maybe due to lack of the experience, but then they are the ones to bring it back. I mean, look at that action. You can see the determination in Schmidt's eyes as he steps around, and he knows exactly what he's doing, and too easy. Yeah,
Forget with a little bit of showmanship, I think, trying to get the French contingent in the crowd and his teammates fired up as well. The bookends are marvellous bookends for Forget, and Schmidt and Forget will be major parts of French Ultimate for, well, a decade and maybe more. You can just see it already despite their young age.
Forget dethroning Seskidistus from their throne atop the mixed scene in France. Currently playing with Frisbee out of Blois in the west of France. His team won that. Or he's playing the European season with Chak.
Chak have, they've retooled a little bit for this campaign, and they have looked really good in the early season. I've been mighty impressed.
Can thank that to the vacuum cleaner effect of them sucking up all of the talent in the West to try and make a run at the European Championship.
It may be one of the best sides to have never managed to claim that European crown. White to De Kleiner. Back to White. De Kleiner takes off deep. White seemed to I can't even speak, that's how easy it was. Effortlessly throw the blade, and Europe's standout deep threat, and now one of the standouts in North America as well. Tokay de Kleiner makes it 6-4.
It's a bit of a love affair between those two, honestly. White has always seemed to be looking for de Kleiner in the deep space, and de Kleiner just knows really well what he can afford and when he's supposed to go, and when he goes, he goes.
I remember speaking last year to the coaches of GB in Belgium before the EUC final, and we asked them if you could have one player from the other side, who would you like? And Great Britain coach Tommy Garwood said the way de Kleiner sets up his deep shots and how effective he is in the end zone is it's a mighty difficult proposition to turn down.
And when you think about it, it used to be, the rumor used to be, oh, he can only go deep. That's all he can do. Because he just managed to get all the deep shots, he caught everything. But it's like, first of all, why would you let him go there then? And second of all, we've seen, I think, at least in the last season, that what a well-rounded player he is.
Crowd having a bit of a sing-along to some Backstreet Boys. Other 90s boy bands are available. Boyan. Got to take that under to Vogel, surely, and does. Feels like they want the springy Rogers on Vogel, consistently taking the match up, but now they're peeling off a switch. A gloved right hand secures. As now Jervik has it. I think wanted to create a little bit more break side motion as that throw flutters, but it lands in the lap of Ancelin. Kawabata flashes into the lane, and Ancelin recognizes and goes to Lachi. Now Lacoste-Lefebvre. Olivier settles and steadies herself. The inside sneaks through. And a call.
I don't know what the call was, but that was an ankle breaker from Gaël Ancelin. When he is in movement, he is very hard to stop. I love this matchup between him and Tognetti. Both larger figures, but very agile for the size and length that they have.
100%. Ancelin against Pingu, as they call him. Luca Tognetti is a matchup befitting of this sort of occasion. Back in play. Jervik, can he find a scoring pass? Doesn't seem to be anything going in the end zone just yet. Ancelin squirrels underneath. Jervik, high, to the break side, to Vogel, 6-5. SuperTeam still with that advantage.
Good patient offense from France. That is exactly the sort of possession that they require to get their defense on the field. You see good work from their handlers, that duo between Ancelin and really whoever happens to be around him. He kind of picks who he wants to play with. In that case, it was Jervik and Vogel finding some space on the break side.
And you see SuperTeam trying to come up with a little bit of different defensive look. Kawabata try that flashy poach. It wasn't a bad idea. Unfortunately, it did not bring the intended result.
There's Tognetti sold so far down the river, he's ended up in the North Sea.
Lovely around put for the score. We get two different angles on this.
Evenly matched contest so far. Couple of early breaks for SuperTeam. France have earned one of those back. Going to see if they can find the second here. As Cardenas to White. And Cardenas absolutely guns it. Oh, spectacular flying block. Tluster still down.
Camille Blanc coming through with the flying defense. It looks like she might have hit Tlousta on the way down, but we saw Blanc on that gold medal winning side with France at Beach Worlds.
I think Tlousta was already coming into the game with a little bit of pain. I'm not exactly sure what was wrong, but I have seen her limping on the sideline in previous games already, so it might have just been that final touch that made her end up on the ground.
Yeah, it seems like they're potentially discussing a foul call here as well.
And from my perspective, it looks like Blanc actually had the disc first and Tlousta was coming back into the space as if she had changed her mind right when the shot went up.
If you need an exact description of the situation, you just saw Jimmy Mickle there gesturing.
Here we see, I think Blanc actually had the right to that space. Tlousta changing her angle of attack at the last second. Blanc, of course, an athletic superstar herself coming out of RFO from Ile-de-Ré. She played for the Beach Worlds team that won gold last December. Although it seems to be a no contest on this foul.
For those who are unfamiliar with French geography, the Ile-de-Ré is off the west coast, kind of La Rochelle, Orléans sort of area?
Yes, it is, I wouldn't say a suburb because it's its own separate place, but it is just off the coast of La Rochelle.
And it looks like Tlousta will get the disc, so an accepted foul actually.
And here's the diminutive dynamo, Tlousta, to Volchak. Tlousta trying to find space where seemingly there is none. Stall out called and accepted. France love it.
SuperTeam in a bit of a pickle there. Second break chance for France. Can they convert?
Barentin taking a reset and now trying to get some throw and go going. That pass is low, but able to get underneath it. Ruel. Stoppage away from the disc. Push off potentially, or a pick.
Looks like a pick was called on Pauline Berthet out of Monkey. She's again another one of those World Games players from France.
Lisson Bonneau's going to jog back into position.
An interesting matchup, though, I would say. But Berthet has been playing defense on Cardenas this whole point, trying to use her size on the mark, probably.
Ruel with a nice leader to space in power position, able to stop the Huck going up. That's floaty into the center. Tullit thought about flashing in there, but Bonneau stands firm. And now Lisson Bonneau, awkward catch, but just about stuck it in the end. Nice break to Barentin. And another pick away from the disc. Some of the spacing of this French offense on the turn has been somewhat suspect.
Barentin catching the winning score in the semifinals and also a driving force for the French D-line when it comes to handling.
Breaking around, Barentin tipped it and recovered. And now Barentin shooting. Voinesson's the option. Voinesson, oh my word, a ridiculous catch. That first point of contact might have been in bounds as well.
I wouldn't really call that in. I think his foot was caught in the line as he was grabbing the disc. But maybe we'll get another look at that, or else get to see the sideline signaling.
We can look at it again with the benefit of slow motion replay. You've got Joe White bearing down on you, and yeah, I think that's on the tape.
I tend to agree. I would say that that is not in. Excellent grab from the man from Ile-de-Ré, currently playing in Bordeaux.
Malo Voinesson, heck of a catch, my friend. Well, mon ami, I guess. Checked in. Ruel. Off the dish backwards.
Berthet getting a little handsy with Cardenas. Cardenas calling a foul justifiably.
And that time, Cardenas could do nothing. Pauline Berthet catches the break that France needed to send this game level. Late in this first half, it's 6 apiece.
Excellent possession from France. And the woman from Grenoble, the captain, playing in Open this year for the European circuit with her men's side and in the French Championship. She is really bringing some of that leadership onto the field here for France Mixed.
Yeah, Monkey have entered the team into the women's division for the UCS, Queen Kong, but as you mentioned, choosing to play in Open instead. And it looks like we've got a timeout here on the field as there's that diving catch from Hurel. Barentin opening things up. Voinesson, expert catch. And then staying patient on the red zone line. Just about able to get it in for the score. Took a couple of early hits, but France able to fight their way back into it. It's tied at 6s here. Windmills mixed.
Responsible business is now sort of an essential facet of the future economy. Like, I'm talking like every business needs to start thinking about their social and especially environmental impact.
And if we look at all the problems that we have in the world today, they're not going to be solved by our governments and the not-for-profits. I think business has a really big role to kind of play. B Corp really kind of helps companies through the certification really understand that and kind of dig into their impact further.
The sun is shining down in Amsterdam. The turf in the National Rugby Stadium looking lush. And so is the ultimate cracker of a mixed final in progress. The Tokay SuperTeam taking on France Mixed, currently tied at 6s. And Francis, you mentioned that these two met in the last round of Swiss draw yesterday morning. That one finished 7-6 to SuperTeam, but under slightly different circumstances.
Of course, that was a shortened round due to the weather delay. Going up 1 point, SuperTeam at the end of that on serve. No breaks in that match, I believe. And really one of the things that also changed the shape of that game was the shape of the field, as it was a much smaller surface.
Almost indoor-like, really.
Almost indoor-like, exactly. Gaël Lancelin was excited to be playing on this full field to see what they could actually do on the French side.
Especially in front of a packed stand that has been enjoying all of the Windmill festivities this weekend. Stonker of a pull. And SuperTeam from the back of their own end zone. Charlotte Charles. What a season she had last year.
You see both Bornos on the field. Charles being defended by Eva and Cardenas being defended by Lison. Also, we see another fun matchup in the backfield, Fenrich versus Joe White. Both of those teammates from Is No Good on their run to Worlds in 2022.
And those of you not familiar with Benji Fenrich, my word, that man can fly. As another turnover for SuperTeam, the timeout to try and stop the momentum might not have worked because France with a chance to take their first lead. Forget assuredly walking to the disc. That mark from Declan is getting very touchy. And the throw into the center. There might be a second attempt for Bruno.
I guess whatever works.
Yeah, Forget seemed happy enough with it. I can't say that I would have been, but to each their own. Declan. Breaking to White. Now they manufacture something in the backfield with some throw and go motion. A decent part of the SuperTeam offense is send your horses out there and let them cook. Although I don't know quite how horses would cook. But if you excuse the mixed metaphor, I think you know what I mean. Here's Mikkel. Baudry down the sideline, not the option just yet. Centre to Tokay instead. Now the short-handed shot, Mikkel powered through, but they just went into the backfield. Now Forget taking off. Mikkel did enough to dissuade the deep throw. That one into the centre. Tokay thought he got it clean. Fenrich disagrees. And turnover does stand. Couple of opportunities France have had, not taken either. And SuperTeam make them pay. Feathering one into the end zone for Cardenas. Lisson Bonneau punts the cone in frustration. And that is 7-6 to SuperTeam.
Lisson Bonneau and Malvin Schmidt both expressing some frustration with their possession on that point. Justifiably, France had the disc 2 times, and it seemed like their decisions were just too rushed. As the coach speaking to Forget about what he's looking for in those situations.
It's been an interesting point. You talked about it previously, Benji, that SuperTeam does not have any set tactics, obviously, coming into this tournament without any preparation, without much practice. So what they really are doing with the coaches is that the captains call the play, and then they just do what they do best, and they try to find their role on the field as they go. And honestly, I've seen some better mixed play out of SuperTeam throughout this tournament. I think if they can go back to that maybe and use their female matching players a bit better, that would be great for them. But in any case, they got the D back twice and ended up with a nice mixed point to Cardenas there. By the way, Cardenas getting not a very warm welcome from the French after taking such a long journey. She actually joined SuperTeam only yesterday. Friday, they played without her.
I believe she played 1 or 2 games on Friday, but she had still experienced some of the jet lag. So she definitely was not taking the field, especially in that Italy game that was the closest game that the SuperTeam had played all day.
That pull from Tognetti, we saw how brilliantly it can go when he gets it right, but that one, the edge, does not take it back in bounds, and Ancelan is going to begin the long jog to maybe even inside enemy territory already.
So this already crossing the equator.
A little bit of discussion about who wants the matchup, and they're going to keep Tognetti on Ancelan.
The French are varying tactics a decent amount. They're choosing a split stack shape for this offensive possession.
Ancelan to bring in. Squeezing it through, and Boyan, it spins in and out. Zhu taking the early option. Ancelan rises and slaps to earn it back.
What a way to rectify an earlier error. I mean, his signature forehand breaks have been absolutely pivotal for the French offense. This time it doesn't work out, but no matter, Ancelan with a spectacular grab against Tognetti.
Zhu rolled the dice, but it came up with Ancelan's number. Now another lead thrown to the center that should be picked off. Jakob Tam steals a march, and he finds Ferdia Rogers. And that is an 8-6 lead going into half for SuperTeam.
Ferdia Rogers, previously of Ranelagh, obviously on that roster when they took the European title in the European Club Series. He is currently making a move to Berlin and will be looking to join the Ultimate community there. We will see what comes out of that. Here's his first score for Tokay SuperTeam.
Yeah, there is the turnover. Boyan was really fired there, and the spin, the rotation took it in and then out. Zhu sees the one-on-one matchup, backs Tognetti in it, but Ancelan comes through and then leading Shervik to space, and Jakob Tam, like a lightning bolt, flashed in there. He finds Ferdia Rogers, and the Tokay SuperTeam have an 8-6 halftime lead in this mixed final.
Responsible business is now sort of an essential facet of the future economy. Like, I'm talking like every business needs to start thinking about their social and especially environmental impact.
And if we look at all the problems that we have in the world today, they're not going to be solved by our governments and the not-for-profits. I think business has a really big role to kind of play. B Corp really kind of helps companies through the certification really understand that and kind of dig into their impact further.
warehouse, but Windmill, the legend that is Herbie, donning the spacesuit for this edition, doing the traditional cycle round the stadium, and if you can get the disc in there, you can win yourself some swag as well. Delighted to say we are joined on the sideline by SuperTeam's Joe White. Afternoon, Joe. How's it going for you out there?
Good. I'm really tired. It's been a long weekend.
Obviously, I think the team's been pretty upfront about their ambition to win the whole thing, but it's been a slightly strange coming together process. Do you feel like now we're seeing SuperTeam at their best?
I guess so. No better time like the present. I mean, every game has been a little different because we're all still learning about each other. I mean, it's only like 7 games total, and like most seasons are like, 6 months, 7 months. So, but yeah, I hope so. We'll need that to win. I think this France team is good.
That they certainly are. Obviously, bringing together players from kind of so many different Ultimate nations and kind of sharing that knowledge. What interesting bits have you been able to pick up from your teammates?
That's a good one. Interesting bits. I mean, Levka lives a crazy life. I've loved talking to her. She's like so intense. She played both mixed and women's all weekend, like 8 games a day, played the final earlier today, and she has more energy than all of us, and also slept in a hammock underneath the stands. So I'm just mostly floored by like her ability to walk, let alone run.
Obviously, you've been at Windmill before, so you're aware of kind of how thick and fast things come at you. Have you been kind of enjoying the whole Windmill experience again, on and off the field?
Totally, yeah. Last time I stayed in, we did like the European version of camping, which is just like a hotel, but they don't give you towels or soap. And this time, me and Jimmy shared a tent, which like was totally different because I barely slept at all, and I was pretty uncomfortable the whole time. But it was great, and I loved it. So.
Joe, last question. Can you show us your abs?
No, absolutely not.
Hey, you don't ask, you don't get. Thank you very much, Joe.
Of course.
We'll see you back out there. Lovely to be able to get that insight from one of the players involved in the game. Joe White, as Herbie continues to be pelted with discs. I don't know if anyone's actually got one in there. We'll see if someone's come up successful shortly. Second half to get underway in a little bit. The Tokay SuperTeam sitting pretty with an 8-6 advantage.
My first few years of college, I threw every single day. Of course you want to be a champion. Of course you want to be working toward winning titles.
Be happy, but never satisfied.
Better than ever.
Windmill's mixed final, you see there Iggy and the Iggy square in the background looking slightly worse for wear after a heavy weekend, and so are some of the now spectators in the stands as well. Tokay SuperTeam with an 8-6 half-time lead. Francis, take us through that statistical breakdown.
Certainly. So we saw that Tokay SuperTeam were able to break rather early. France earning those breaks back to level it up at 6s, but SuperTeam was able to stabilize the ship and then close out the first half with a break. France's story of this half, I think, is their inability to convert on their defensive side. They are able to get the blocks. We have seen that they are probably athletically the best team to be able to push SuperTeam. However, they need to work on their patience, as they have created a number of turnovers through either miscommunications or rush decisions.
Yeah, you see they're both 6 break chances, but SuperTeam have hit on 3 and France on 2. Have a look at these first half highlights. You talked about the athletic prowess, some of these young studs like Forget, but SuperTeam, it's just the assuredness, been in so many games like this before, delivering some big plays, but France have had their fair share as well. That was sensational from Voinesson. But you just look up and down the Super Team roster. I mean, you can say many things about Steph Rapazzo, but that man knows how to stack a team to win a tournament.
Absolutely.
As we're seeing some of the Windmill TDs and crew, I believe that's one of the organisers, Finn Leash, who's I think maybe had a long weekend. Not just a long weekend, of course, because for a lot of the crew, they've been here over a week already, and they'll be here for a fair few days packing everything down as well. There's so much time and effort and energy expended into making Windmill one of the best tournaments in the world. Paul lands inbound and bounces out, and the second half will begin with France and Alexis Javig taking it to the front cone. Tognetti on the mark. Swings, Orwin Vogel got his feet tangled in the tape, but he recovered. Now Lachi. Trying to take on the break, didn't see the opportunity. Yekland gets tangled with Olivier, and Olivier calls the foul. There's so much depth for both of these squads that every now and again you say a name and you're like, oh, I forgot they were here, because everyone in this matchup can deliver the kind of the utmost exceptionalism of Ultimate.
Absolutely. Many of these players, World Games, Euro Stars, Next Gen, you name it, they've got it.
A riser that Boyan brings down. Wide for Javig. Jakob Tam again. And it's just to make sure he catches. And as they did coming into half, so it is coming out. Jakob Tam with the interception, flipping to Ferdia Rogers. And Super Team sitting mighty sweetly right now. The Tokay Super Team has a 9-6 lead.
And that is deja vu all over again. It's looking like Tam just reaches in there for the D. We can see him coming in, barreling through, rebounding on his own defense, and then immediately flipping once again for Rogers for the score.
I absolutely love watching Jakob Tam.
I mean, he's such a smiley fella, isn't he? On and off the field. Second score for Ferdia Rogers in this game. He saw Tam get the D. Look at him. Look at that bloke.
He's, yeah, a very happy, smiley guy, a big bundle of energy. I kind of really broke through onto everyone's kind of public ultimate consciousness at the EUIC, the European Indoor Championships in Lithuania in 2022. That Estonian mixed side that captured gold on the strength of, well, the whole team, but him and Helen Terror especially. And, you know, they continued that in the mixed division with Tartu Turbulence. And one of the aims, I think, of the Super Team project is, yes, you know, you've got the biggest names in Ultimate out there, your Whites, your Cardenasses, your Volchaks, but you've also got some of these players from the less known Ultimate nations, and it's a great opportunity to let them strut their stuff and show exactly what they're all about. Beautiful inside. And now Olivier trying to find an option with Molnar covering Anselin. It's the sort of matchup Molnar will crave. Anselin sends it out to space. That is visionary. Talk about throwing someone open. Anselin just saw the space. The most beautiful, perfect weighted pass. And France more than happy to collect that, to get on the board in this second half.
Great vision by the Strasbourg man. Mooncatcher player in 2022 on their run to the semifinals. Chak for quite a while, but especially France mixed. We can see this late stall count coming up, and he just finds a perfect space over the defense. Poilon just getting away from Jimmy Mickle, and Anselin is happy to deliver that right into his open arms.
Yeah, we think about being such a key part of the O-line, but of course it was his defense that really got people's notice in that WUCC run with Mooncatchers. I think everyone remembers that foot block he got on Dylan Freechild in the quarterfinals against Tokay.
And France really exploiting that defense that SuperTeam put on. It was a force middle kind of force, while everyone was standing under, so the only open angle was actually the one Ansalan ended up throwing, going wide and deep.
That's the throw you want. You're exactly right, where they're trying to get you to throw it through the congested center of the field where they back themselves to get those blocks in traffic. But when Ansalan drops dimes like that, there's not a huge amount that you can do.
Upwind as well.
Tulit to Zhu. Zhu shooting once more. Westman tries to box out, but couldn't track it on the tail end.
This is a big, big chance for France right now.
Inka Westman getting sucked in by the defense of Pauline Berthet. Berthet, a menace in the air herself.
Yeah, you've got to work so hard. Did Barentin keep that up? From how far away we were, I'd have to look at it again.
I have no perspective on that and cannot state an opinion.
No strong feelings one way or the other. Again, I still feel like I'd need to see it once more. It's so tough to tell, isn't it?
We don't have to worry about it. The stands will let us know once they decide the call, I think.
Mob justice is the best way to decide this, but I guess that they've decided to go with the sober decision, contest it, and send it back.
When it's that tight, you're just not sure either way. Okay, never mind. Let's send it back and let's get on with things. Bergwijn past the bidding Schmidt. Flew Superman style through the air and still came up empty-handed. Not through want of trying. Using a lot of yards on the reset to Baudry. And Stalkout rising. Baudry's going to shoot it. Can Zhu track it in the air? Oh, it thunked off the chest. Just enough pressure applied there.
Blanche just applying the pressure to Zhu. And that is really excellent defense, both from Barentin and from Schmidt. They were putting a lot of pressure on the mark, which meant that they were SuperTeam was pinned on the sideline.
I felt the reset spacing was leaving something to be desired there from SuperTeam. Zhu flashes in to stop that one. And the reset is taken to Lisson Bonneau. Now Bergwijn, this time connecting to Berthet.
Hoping for a switch there, but it doesn't come.
Yeah, France's D-line offense finding a little bit of rhythm now. Berthet. Looking for a World Games teammate, Lisson Bonneau, who bids and doesn't get there and calls the injury as well. Hope she's okay and is maybe just winding herself on landing on that solar plexus.
Another great matchup in the likes of Westman and Berthet. It's not very often that Westman gets a good matchup that matches her size on the field as well.
So Borneau goes off and Borneau comes on. Eva replacing Lisson.
Excellent defense from SuperTeam, though. This is what France has struggled with all game, is maintaining possession of the disc and getting good flow from their D-line.
Walczak's going to come on off the injury sub for SuperTeam. Baudry shovels to Cupcake. Now Tulit down the line. Zhu. Squeezing it through what was scarcely a window, open ever so slightly ajar. And now Walczak back to Baudry. Tulit again, France's defense doing a really good job of forcing SuperTeam back. Tulit just a couple of meters away. Oh, the push pass. The swag from Tulit. Baudry on the receiving end, SuperTeam just about getting it done.
Well, the strategy of SuperTeam, I mean for Team France there obviously was to push SuperTeam down to the far sideline and then try to force the turnover. But SuperTeam somewhat unbothered. You even saw Tulit consciously attacking the up line, wanting that throw. And now we know why, because if you're not worried about throwing a push pass in this wind into the end zone for the score, then you might as well.
Mature offense from Tulit. you'll see that he goes down the line right here, and he freezes in his tracks. He opens up that small inside window, and then we all know that push passes win games, so why not?
Yeah, push passing all over the world, the super team. Baudry, and then you mentioned just the little stop, the bounce back, and Barentin never saw. It was a great effort from Eva Bourneau to think, I could have a shot at this, and she did come very close, but the window stayed open just long enough for Super Team to find it.
And I think that's a small victory for France's D-line. Of course, when you see that they're getting to the sideline, they are all screaming, rouge, 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 red, red. That is exactly where they want the disc to be. They are all marking parallel to the sideline and being very active on that mark.
Maybe a bit of the same old story, though, for France's D-line, generating turns, but just not hitting on the conversions. Lacoste-Lefebvre. Couple of players in that break space, and Mbeyvogo bails out to leave it for Ancelin. And there's a stoppage away from the disc, a pick, I think, and that's going to also allow Jevig a little bit of time to tie up his laces.
I think Super Team implementing once more that force middle defense, forcing those wide, deep throws.
Full commitment from Maria Castillo, but her club teammate Clara Matias stands firm. And now, not quite sure what's going on there. Becker's on the floor.
Looked more like a dance contest than an ultimate game.
I mean, Ancelin does have some pretty fancy footwork, let's be fair.
Lico is loving this matchup with Mbeyvogo, both of them teammates on Isno. And having played with Beckel before, he has a lot of energy and he loves to prove himself. He loves to take on his teammates in practice. On the field, he is a competitor at every single level of this sport.
Yeah, you had to be sure that Steph was going to get a little bit of Isno good representation, and he's got Becker and, of course, Isno alumnus Joe White. Utilising the motion on the force. Now Lacoste-Lefebvre. Another pick downfield. Has felt like the fluidity of France's offense hasn't been here in this game. Lacoste-Lefebvre taking on the break. Oh, it's rising, but there should be backup. And is there better backup than Nas? I'm not convinced that there is.
Showing a Noisy state of mind. Nas coming through for the goal. Although it looks like that shot might have been for Lecce. It doesn't matter. The veteran, of course, coming through. 3 goals for him. Normally a handler. Of course, you'll normally see him throwing those assists, but he has been working a lot. After winning that European gold, he talked about all of the PT and all of the physical training that he did to prepare for that championship. Good defensive pressure from Super Team. The force backhand not working out. Lacoste-Lefebvre throwing a floater, but Mbeyvogo coming to clean up the trash.
He's been there, done that, got the t-shirt, bought the t-shirt company, sold it off, retired. I mean, so much experience. Nas has forgotten more about Ultimate than I will probably ever know. But he's remembered an awful lot more as well. A true European icon and legend of the game. See Talista there, taking her cleats off, which is a real shame. I mean, I've been upfront about this numerous times on broadcasts. My favourite player to watch. When she got picked for Super Team, I kind of had a little fist pump because it's recognition that she duly deserves. And I remember a certain Rahel Toshnerova telling me in 2019 that this 15-year-old was going to be one of the best players on the continent, and you were right.
There she is. It's going to be a hard break for her to be unable to finish this final. I think that was definitely one of the highlights she was looking forward to most. But plenty of other stream games for Super Team. I'm sure she will have a nice memory to look back on. Deep shot from Super Team. It's hanging.
And Kawabata didn't quite get it.
Manon Coin comes barreling through and absolutely flattens Kawabata.
I mean, there has to be at least 10 shoulders on the pitch now, staying dug into the ground.
You can have a look at it again. They set up the deep look to Kawabata. Didn't get it cleanly. Was that because of contact from Manon Coyne, a player who's had some rotten injury luck in the past?
Recovering from a PCL injury last year after a bike accident. She didn't even think she was going to be able to play at UC, but she was playing last year for France Mixed here at Windmill after really very little time for recovery. Currently playing her ultimate for PUC, Paris Université Club. Club I'm somewhat familiar with.
Thought you might be. Was that your club? Yes, it is.
Maybe.
Yeah. It's just lovely to see her out there, and out there without the massive knee brace as well.
Yeah, absolutely. She's done a lot of PT to be able to get back to this point, as it looks like she is not contesting that foul. Of course, Coyne, a very spirited player, often fulfilling the role of spirit captain on many of the teams that she's played on.
It's a role she takes with pride, and Kawabata tried to get that out, but Berthe maybe didn't have it fully released, so it's not Berthe, excuse me.
Blanc looking like she says that the disc was released, and Kawabata says, no, I still had it in my hand.
Well, that's what you get. It's the typical backhand side. It's the typical forehand side backhand throw.
Yeah, the quote-unquote barbecue or dad backhand.
Van Liesche getting involved in the discussion as well. Van Liesche, just to talk about him a little bit, France Mixed has been trying to get involved in the community quite a bit. See, that looks like it might have been a foul from Blanc.
Yeah, that looks like a foul to me.
Yeah, I agree. But Van Liesche and a number of these France Mixed players getting involved in the France Mixed community, doing a number of clinics to try and help them get to Worlds in Australia.
A little discussion about the stall count.
And we're in play. Kawabata with Landa de Crena, one-on-one in the end zone. And now tossing one up, the leading pass to space, finds Sarah Jekland. SuperTeam get that three-point advantage again, 11-8.
We haven't seen much of Eklund so far in this game, fulfilling that deep cutter role on the team. Nice to see her get one on the board. Of course, representing her home club, Valkyria, as well as the numerous Swedish national teams that she's been on. We saw her pick up with Jinx last year for the European season.
And then Kawabata on that assist, just putting some air underneath it again, throwing to the space. Sees Eklund making the move, and there is still that trust, even though they've not played together that much, that Sarah Jekland's going to get the job done. Pretty handy target to have on your side.
Yeah, the Canadian throwing that lofting backhand to the Swedish receiver. As we see Coyne getting some attention from the medical staff here, we can hope that that shoulder is going to be okay.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if we don't necessarily see her back in this game, not because it's a serious injury, but because you don't want to risk it as much as you want to win this final. This is not the end goal. The end goal, of course, is that World Championship out on the Gold Coast in September. Even before I finished asking the question last year after EUC, Guy Lancelin said, oh yes, we're going. And oh yes, that is going. Nassembe Vogel. What a delectable dish. Going deep. Clara Matias. Perfect cut, perfect throw, perfect score.
I mean, we have about 17 minutes left on the clock. This is exactly what France needs right now. A quick offensive look to score, to punch it in, and then they can focus on the defense, because we are entering the last stage of the game, and there really needs to be some added defensive pressure from France if they want to steal some of the breaks back and make this an even game.
I mean, just tossing that one high, the arc, the trajectory, perfect. You can see tracked by that drone as well, just the wonderful shape of it. It's like a fine sculpture.
See the France sideline celebrating with the airplane arms. I thought that throw was going to be a little too high and lofty, but Nasser Vogel saying that he knows better, bending it with the wind perfectly.
To be honest, yeah, he does know better than us.
I think SuperTeam playing the percentage here, I think, with the forced middle throws. It has worked about 50-50, I would say, up until now, with the defensive pressure, but still a few more points to be played out.
Mikkel slips on his cut, but still able to find enough room in front of Begwen de Moor. And now Lander de Clan losing his footing as well. Mikkel wanting the leading throw to space. It's over Boisnasson, and Mikkel watches it into the bucket. Back to Talit. And now Zhu. The SuperTeam not going all guns blazing on this possession, but matriculating it down the field. Past the bidding Cruel. Lander de Crane unfazed. Spacing's a little bit off. Cupcake 6 down on the throw. Baudry catches and then splits the double team to Mikkel. Mikkel to the end zone to Vestman for the score.
Excellent defense from the French side.
Vestman loses her footing on the catch, but manages to hold on to the disc. I mean, that was a pretty exciting point. The leading pass from Tulet. A few of the throws a bit up high. I was waiting for the French defense to run it down. There it is, Baudry reads that expertly. Quick continuation.
Yeah, it's Boisnasson coming in there to think that he can intercept, but if you make those gambles and you don't get it, it leaves you out of position. You can split it to Mikkel, and Mikkel without a mark is a recipe for disaster as a defense. And yeah, Vestman 100% retaining possession on that one. And France, I think, just trying to force the Tokay SuperTeam to play boring ultimate there, because that's not what you put an all-star team together, is it? To play good fundamentals, dump swing. But there's obviously so much maturity there that they're not going to be baited by that ploy.
Maybe one more shout out to Ine Lancrit, the mastermind behind several club teams for the past few years. She has coached Belgian under 24 men's. She has picked up with Moon Cup as a coach for their first inaugural season for the EUCS series. And she also takes care of the youth scene in Belgium in general, currently preparing to organize the Junior Championship.
Yeah, Steph and Ine first met back at the European Ultimate Championships in 2019, when Steph and I actually ended up sharing a bathroom with Ine Lancrit. Turns out there were locks on both sets of doors, which I think caught Steph off guard. Boyan.
SuperTeam now a little bit more aware with the deep shots.
Yeah, the vertical element that was lacking a little bit in the first half for France has come in now, and Płatzakolski juggles. And now threading one, Becker contests, but Anselan unfazed, going for the scuba. That was risky, but it worked. The crowd loves it. Anselan delving deep into the locker, and Płatzakolski rises highest to pluck it for the score.
And as Lorcan Murray would say, there is never a wrong time for a scuba. That one was a dangerous option, but Płatzakolski, of course, showing his chemistry and understanding of the field with Anselan. Those two have played in many different divisions together, showing another connection. Almost looked like they read each other's minds.
And here is Charlotte Schull, who tried to do a good job on the defense. Unfortunately, one of the pit holes of mixed ultimate where you think you have it.
Here we see Anselan's brilliance, not only behind the disc, but also on the receiving end. You can see that he's got good experience. He uses his body well to box out that. Between him and Płatzakolski, that have had a number of connections. He has been probably the glue, and in addition to that, the razzle-dazzle of France's offense, the French flair, it's often called in rugby.
Yeah, I mean, he has been a flag bearer for mixed ultimate in Europe. One of the best players in any division, and there you can see the scuba again. Unorthodox, but yeah, sometimes you need to roll with the punches and find those big, unusual plays to catch the defense off guard. Gaël Ancelan, a goal, 3 assists, and a block so far for him in this contest. Tognetti. Tam's wide open on the far sideline, has to hit that and does. Forget somewhat wisely shading him deep. Leader through to Baudry. Baudry is going to take the deep shot to Jakob Tam. And in the handler set, going deep. Whatever it is, Tam can do it all. Blows kisses to the crowd. And SuperTeam can see the end now, 2 points away from victory.
I think they really have taken my advice a little bit in terms of implementing a bit more of that mixed game. Maybe they needed that little point difference to get comfortable again playing with everyone, sort of not only resorting to their favorite options. Lovely grab, lovely put from both of these Tokay SuperTeam players. Here's that kiss one more time.
And that's why Forget was shading Tam deep earlier in the point to prevent exactly that sort of scenario happening.
Actually, somewhat surprised to see Forget not pull out a bid. He loves to hit the ground, and he has some springs to be able to make that happen. We see some crowd shots here, people feeling the vibes of this final.
Do you think some of those people look slightly worse for wear?
They look like they're fresh as a daisy, Benji.
I think they're just a bit pasty because they're from Ireland.
I mean, you would know as an Irish champion, of course.
So France is obviously going to have to hold right here if they want to make the remontada happen. I wonder at what point they'll start stacking their lines, or if they will.
How focused are they on winning the game, or do they say, we want to make sure that we're putting everyone in these high-pressure scenarios because it will stand us in good stead in Australia?
Well, I did not get a clear answer on that strategy with regards to Windmill. However, France is aiming very high. Their goal is to be world champions. They know that that is a tall task in front of them behind some of the squads that are going to be there on the Gold Coast. But this is what they are training for.
I mean, the fact that they've already done it on the beach, you know, it really will give that extra belief and confidence. They've done it before, and believe me, they believe they can do it again. Lacoste Lefebvre. To Ancelan, obviously, of course, the roster's slightly different, but there is a lot of carryover. Ancelan once more being marked by White. Low, and that time, Umbe Vogel can only watch it bounce out of his grasp. Mikkel wants to wrench the flick deep. White trying to box out Ancelan, and White rips it down. SuperTeam with the break. That could be the dagger. They've got a 4-point advantage and 1 away from the win.
We see Windmill photographer John Kofi watching his captain Gaël Ancelan get skied by Joe White.
Hopefully he made a good photo at least.
The man does it all. He can play ultimate and he can snap some amazing shots.
And he rocks a flat cap like nobody's business.
I mean, how motivational would it have been for Team France if Ancelan had gotten that D? He was trying to get there. There was some good arm action on both sides.
Good work from Joe White to stave off right here through the initial contact, and then catching with the offhand. That's really good body positioning from White. He's able to use his front part of his body to shield the contact from Ancelan on one side and then catch it to the fading side with his left hand.
A slightly lethargic looking wave going on in the stand in the far side. Can France pull the comeback of all comebacks? To get the break train rolling, it's got to leave the offensive station first.
Mixed feelings among the fans, I would say, about SuperTeam. Some people loving the idea. Some people just thinking, oh, of course when you pay me, I'm going to play great. Baudry with the pole. Potential last point of the game.
Well, as we say, Rachel, every hero needs a good villain, and SuperTeam have definitely fulfilled that role this weekend.
Yeah, Steph has really played into that, owning the heel role. He's the Ted DiBiase of Ultimate, the $1 million man, trying to buy his way to a championship, and it's looking like it might have worked. That ball went out of bounds early and did not come back in, so immediate red zone possession for France. Al-Salam swings to Płatczykolski. The break low. There's a pick, but I'm not sure it affected that throw.
France trying to keep their hopes alive with this point.
Can the SuperTeam make a red zone stand to add an exclamation mark to their performance? Płatczykolski going back to Lucas Lefebvre. Delicious inside break, which is tipped. And then Lachi lays out on the follow-up. Not the intended target, sure, but aware and ready and waiting. And France keeping their dream alive.
Not sure that that point was necessarily in from Lachi, but of course, a great play means that it is in. Using the enthusiasm factor right there on that.
Well, I would have liked to have that point look a little cleaner, crisper, easier, given the field positioning that they were allowed with that short pull. But just like we said, now France just needs to focus on the D-line. It looks like the coaches are at work for Team France, making sure that their top defensive forces are on the line.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty standard D-line. Fenrich, Vanesson, Beguen Demo, who's going to pull, Enzo Forget, and then Barentin, Berthet, and Camille Blanc, I think.
Correct. Barentin, a new addition to this French mixed side. She played women's last year, but opting to play with a lot of her Seski Distus teammates in mixed.
Cardenas is going to watch the pull, bounce and roll through the rugby posts and out the back of the end zone. And they're going to leave it for Mikkel to pick up.
Mikkel has won it all. Can he win Windmill?
Volchak to White, dishing back to Mikkel. Well, the throw could have gone to Castillo. Now trying to lead White, coming over the top. Backup provided by Volchak. Isn't it strange how these great players are always in position to make these plays?
Good player is always lucky.
Volchak on the sideline. Working with a former Revo teammate, of course, Cardenas. White looking for the aggressive break. Cardenas just shy of the end zone. Who's going to get the winning score? Is this it? Well, not quite yet, because air underneath it for White. Rips it down with a little bit of flair. White, wants the scuba to finish. Castillo on the sideline. The toe drag swag is immaculate, and the Tokay SuperTeam are your Windmill champions.
Never a bad time to throw a scuba, and of course that proves it. If that doesn't prove it, I don't know what was. An amazing grab from Maria Castillo to finish the game, and looks like SuperTeam are going wire to wire. Your super villains have won Windmill this year. Congratulations to them.
And Maria Castillo is normally a human highlight reel, but her impact's been a little bit lessened in this game. I guess when you share a team with so many stars, it's going to be tough to really shine through, but that's the sort of play that we've seen from her throughout the divisions.
So if you are looking for inspiration to come with a pickup team to Windmill, feel free to do so. Here are some highlights of the best pickup team that Windmill has witnessed so far. We've had it all. Short throws, short pops, skoo bursts into the end zone, high releases, high grabs.
And White to Castillo to end it in style. Immaculate precision. So well done from Maria Castillo. Yeah, the Mexican, although based in Europe now. And yeah, certainly a worthy part of this super team roster.
Have another look at all of them. Your superstars huddling up, and we will show you some stats from this game. Take us through them, boys.
So France is currently leading right here. France is currently losing, as we can see in break chances. Their defensive line was unable to get it together in the second half, and that is the story of this game.
Yeah, that's the thing for me. Was you know, you both see 8 break chances each, but the super team hit on over half of them on 5. But it's just 2 of 8 for France, and in the end that was not quite enough. Delighted to say that we are joined by dual Windmill champion Levka Volchak on the sideline. It's a pretty special feeling to be able to say that.
Is that a question, whether it's special? I mean, yeah, it's super special. I've been playing Windmill for many years, and this is the first time for me winning it, and then it's a double win. I guess that's quite special. Yeah, thank you.
How have you enjoyed being part of the whole kind of super team process, everything coming together before the tournament and then actually out here on the grass this weekend?
It was super fun because in the beginning it was just like this weird dream about a land far, far away, and then it just like turned into a reality. The team has been vibing really well all weekend, and we've just been having so much fun on and off the field, and I think you can see that on the field too, how we're just getting along well together. Yeah.
Levka, quick this and that at the end. Super team or Team Germany?
Next.
Jinx or Revolution?
Next.
Abs or quads?
Quads.
There you go. Thank you very much.
Fair answer. We'll let you go and enjoy it. Thank you very much for joining us, Levka. Really
Bye.
appreciate you giving up your time. And I believe Levka Volchak was also donning the microphone for the Ulti TV, so there'll hopefully be some mic'd up highlights coming out from Levka later in the week as well. Thank you so much for watching Ultiworld's coverage of Windmill 2024. Another edition in the books. We've had 3 brilliant games today, and it's been a wonderful weekend. Great to have the Ultiworld crew over, experiencing Europe's finest for the very first time. It's been a wonderful week. Thank you so much for joining us. So much Ultimate we have streamed, and you can go back and watch it at your leisure. But this mixed final, it was the big bad guys super team in the end, the Tokay super team on the Maria Castillo toe-in. 15-11, they beat France and are your Windmill mixed division champions.